So thanks for joining us all today. We're going to be talking about digital transformation at the Duke of Edinburgh. As our slide here says, FormusPro have been working with the Duke of Edinburgh for around 2 years, helping them with their digital transformation journey. We've implemented things like licensing and grant management apps, amongst other things that we're going to talk about today. But we've been focusing on getting them to a single data point for their reporting so that they can trust their reports and their data of being a single point of the truth rather than having things scattered across multiple systems. Speakers today, we've got Naveed Iqbal, who's kindly joined us from Microsoft, so he's going to be doing a little piece today. We've got myself, Nathan Trivett, and we've also got Andrew Logie from the Duke of Edinburgh Award. A quick intro to ourselves. So I'll start with me. So my name is Nathan Trivett. I'm a senior software consultant at FormusPro. I'd describe myself as a low-code, no-code developer. We have lots of people who work at FormusPro who I would describe as hardcore developers, but I'm certainly not one of them. Fortunately, the beauty of the Microsoft Power Platform is that it puts so many tools at your fingertips that you can use without the use of code, and we've taken advantage of a lot of those during our implementations with the Duke of Edinburgh. Since joining FormusPro, I've been specialising in Microsoft Dynamics 365, working primarily on not-for-profit clients. But I've been in the software consultancy industry for about 13 years, working across a whole host of industries and across many systems. This is the point normally where a presenter of this type of thing would be pointing to you towards their blog or their YouTube channel or their social media account, but I'm far too busy to be doing any of that on the side, and I'm not really much of a social media user either. So by all means, feel free to add me on LinkedIn. I do have a profile, but there isn't too much on it. You're probably better looking up the FormusPro LinkedIn account and our FormusPro website if you want to see a bit more about what we do day to day. Moving on to Andrew.
Oh, hi, I'm Andrew Logie. I'm head of IT Director at Duke of Edinburgh Awards. I head up the technology team. Like Nathan, you're not really going to find me on social media platforms. I'm on LinkedIn. Over the next while, you'll learn a little bit how we use the stack, how our team support the award, and how we want to take things forward.
So then from here, we're going to move on to Naveed, and we'll let you introduce yourself and run us through some of your slides.
Thank you very much, Nathan. Much appreciated. So some of you may have seen me already if you've joined any other webinars, but my name is Naveed Iqbal. I'm the UK ambassador here for Tech for Social Impact. What does that mean? So I work with our partner ecosystem to ensure they're able to serve the non-profit sector effectively. Everything that we do here at Tech for Social Impact is reinvested back into the non-profit sector. But I'm honoured to be here today just to share with you our vision within Tech for Social Impact. But before I start, just want to say, I think I've got one of the best jobs here at Microsoft. I get to work with our partners such as FormusPro, but I also get to see some of the really, really good stuff that you guys are doing in the non-profit sector. So huge thanks for all the good work that you're doing, and again, thanks for taking the time, particularly during a bank holiday weekend, for joining this webinar. So at Microsoft, we all believe that technology is a huge force for empowering people and organizations. Yeah, we all see it every day. It can be data, it can be AI helping predict malaria outbreaks, it can be humanitarian organizations delivering digital literacy to displaced people all over the world. And we believe the success of the non-profit sector and the NGO sector is critical to how we achieve our mission as a company here at Microsoft. But to do this, I think we all need to make the benefits of world-class technology really accessible and relevant for non-profits, NGOs and IGOs. So as a customer-first, partner-led company, we always start with the needs of our customers, and then we work with our partners such as FormusPro to make sure that we're delivering the best outcomes for each organization. So if we take a look at the world, it's changed so much in profound and fundamental ways. We've seen the role of technology have a positive impact as we've all tried to survive through this pandemic. The level of technology has rapidly accelerated. Now, as we think about that pace of transformation, we have to understand the consequences of that transformation, as well as what our role in that transformation is. Now, we all see a digital divide, and there's opportunity continuing to grow, but many people are left behind. To give you an example, the number of children in sub-Saharan Africa that are literate at the age of 10, so that's when you stop learning to read and you read to learn, is 10%. So 90% of children can't read in sub-Saharan Africa. That means they can't get a job. That means the economic opportunity gap is growing, and COVID had an impact, and technology has a huge role to play there. And then we look at the persistent fundamental rights issues. We all see huge, tragic and unlawful wars unfolding. We see human rights today and every day being violated across the world. And technology also has a role to play there. We see an urgent climate crisis. In 2021, at the end of June, it was 106 degrees Fahrenheit in Seattle. And in Netherlands, it was also baking. We've also just had the hottest January on record. Now, that's not normal. And there's a role for technology to play in supporting the world to become a cooler and better place. And then there's also this diminishing trust in big technology organizations. There's questions about our motives, our motivations. But it's critical that we apply technology and innovations to address these challenges, but without sacrificing our core values like trust, privacy, transparency, and inclusion. We realised that we needed to evolve and think about a different business model role in supporting these societal changes and organisations and non-profits that serve this purpose. So back in 2017, Microsoft Philanthropies, which was born in 1982, brought its contribution efforts together with commercial sales and business development, and we created Tech for Social Impact. Tech for Social Impact was created to empower every non-profit and humanitarian organisation to accelerate social good. So as we work to help everyone achieve more, we are committed to sharing our learnings and reporting our progress across a variety of societal causes, such as affordable housing, digital skilling, climate change, just to name a few. Give you a couple of examples. We've reduced 21 million metric tons of carbon dioxide, which is equivalent by our top suppliers. And each month we analyse over 470 billion emails for malware and phishing attempts. We combine our grants with non-profit commercial engagement in a single team to accelerate impact through technology, deliver solutions to empower social breakthroughs, and help accelerate philanthropic efforts through our efforts and those of our partners such as FormusPro. Not only do we provide technology grants, but we also reinvest any profits made from discounted sales to larger charities back in the sector to help the smaller ones. We give free software to those with 10 or fewer employees, which makes up about 80% of the world's 4 million non-profit organizations. We help non-profits modify Microsoft software to help their specific needs, such as fundraising and mobilizing volunteers, in part connecting them with willing helpers in the company's global partner ecosystem. And we also offer free digital skills training. So as of March 2021, over 30 million learners were reached as part of our global skills initiative. We look at the pillars. We're committed to helping in the following ways. Affordable technology solutions. We work closely with non-profits to create purpose-built solutions on technologies across all of our product stacks, and we're committed to helping non-profits get access to the best practices, reference architectures, and faster data insights. Then there's capacity building. So just delivering technology isn't the whole answer. We recognise that capacity building is often the key to successful adoption of new digital technology. And that's why we're committed to helping organisations get access to training and certifications to improve their digital skills. Microsoft Partner Ecosystem. So we leverage tens of thousands of our commercial partners to create a healthy ecosystem of partners dedicated to delivering solutions and services designed specifically for the non-profit sector. And then lastly, the social investment model. So incremental funds after costs go back into the team and charitable contributions. So the work that we do in TSI and the broader philanthropies organisations is perhaps some of the most powerful work in bringing the pillars that we mentioned to life. We're truly committed to this sector and the idea that it's absolutely core to Microsoft's mission to empower every non-profit and international development organisation with Microsoft technology to accelerate social good. And we've got a couple of examples of how we directly impact Microsoft's societal pillars. I just want to share a couple with you now. Our partnership with UNICEF is an amazing example of how we directly support inclusive growth. As I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, 10% of children aged 10 in sub-Saharan Africa can read, 90 cannot. And UNICEF terms this gap learning poverty. If you can't read, it's very hard to learn, which in turn impacts your prospects. So through our Learning Passport partnership, we've deployed community training to assist with this crisis in 23 countries, and 20 more are currently in process. And millions of kids are registered and nearly 300,000 have completed training. And some of the hardest to reach locations are adopting the fastest. The two biggest adopters at the moment, with tens of thousands of kids that are learning, are Laos and Somalia. And then when we look at our impact in committing to a sustainable future, who's helping us there? The National Forest Foundation is a non-profit that works to preserve and protect wildlife habitat and forestry across 193 million acres of national forest system. So in partnership with Threshold World, the National Forest Foundation was able to implement our Microsoft Cloud for non-profit solutions. They're now able to track donor dollars, quantify the impact of their work, and further their mission of environmental restoration and conservation. So each dollar that's raised directly translates to another tree planted or preserved. And how do we protect fundamental rights? So United Kingdom-based non-profit Barnardos, who I'm sure you're all aware of, connects hundreds of thousands of families and children in need with valuable social services each year. They're particularly passionate about protecting the fundamental rights and safety of children. To best make most of those connections, they must ensure that the employees have the right technology to work in the field effectively and accurately. And the organisation also needs to show that potential donors that it has a concrete impact. So by deploying Microsoft Cloud technologies and Microsoft Surface devices, they've been able to be more effective in the field, gain valuable reporting capabilities, and they've been that have been essential in securing funding to meet the increased demand, particularly during the COVID-19 pandemic. Hopefully that shows that supporting non-profits is part of who we are. It's in our DNA. We've been engaged with charities since 1983 with the inception of our employee giving campaign. But our work's only just really begun. This year marks our 6-year anniversary, and we're more motivated than ever. Truly reaching our vision of real scale requires a broad base of amazing guys like yourselves in every corner of the globe. Give you some figures. In 2023, we provided 3.8 billion in grants and discounted software and services, and we equipped 325,000 non-profit organizations with modern, secure, and scalable cloud solutions. And then back in July 2020, we also launched an initiative to help 25 million people acquire the digital skills that were needed in a COVID-19 economy. Everything that we do is driven by this deep sense of purpose and timeless values of trust, privacy, transparency, inclusion. I think they're the values that our customers have come to expect of us, and they're the values that today's fast-changing society requires of us. So the question really is what is our role in modern day? Milton Friedman, who's a renowned economist, he said that the role of a company is to serve its shareholders, that greed is good. But the definition has evolved because, it turns out the companies don't operate in some parallel universe or some vacuum outside of the planet. We're all affected by the world around us. It can be global warming, poverty, or our next market in Africa. Billions and billions of people are affected. So the new definition of what a company needs to do, as every company came from the Business Roundtable. That's 181 CEOs who come together, and they said the role of a company is to serve its shareholders. Not to serve its shareholders, but to serve its stakeholders. And our stakeholders are our employees, our partners, and most importantly, our customers. That's the communities that we operate in. And the philosophy at Microsoft is simple. Companies that can do more should do more. And I think, along with our partners, FormusPro, we are doing more. So with that, I would like to say massive thanks to each and every one of you for taking the time to listen and attend the webinar today. And I'll pass you back to Nathan. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Naveed. It's great to have you here from Microsoft and see all the good work that you're doing for not-for-profits. So thank you very much.
Oh, hi. This is a little bit about what we do at Duke of Edinburgh's Award. I always like to pause on the numbers because I think the size and the reach of what we do isn't always that obvious. At the same time, I always like to point out that every single number here is a young person. That's why we're here, to improve the outcomes of young people. There's some quite big challenges. We've been 100% digital for a number of years. Our target audience is young people. They're very digitally savvy, difficult to please audience. We have a relatively low number of staff, 380 staff. You can see we've got nearly 40,000 volunteers. The only way that we can deliver the award is through technology. Those numbers are big, but the only way they're going to get bigger is to continue our investment in technology. That's how it is. We've been that way since 2013. Very reliant on our team. Our amazing team. They do lots of things. Every single pixel and every single app, every single service that we do is reliant on our team and our suppliers. We hide a lot of complexity in what we do. We write our own software, which is quite unusual for a charity. Our relationship with Formus is about building relationships with this schools, licensed operators. We operate a franchise model. We've integrated that stack into how we manage those relationships, and we'll chat about that later in the slides. But just looking at those numbers always takes me aback a little bit. 29% of 14-year-olds in the UK started at bronze. That means 29% of 14-year-olds have an account on a system that we wrote. Wow. We're quite a small IT team. We're bigger than we used to be. But when you look at those numbers and what we do as a charity, it's just staggering, but always takes you back to an individual story, an individual person, and an outcome for a young person. That's why we work for a charity.
One of the numbers that sticks out for me there, Andrew, is the number of new people starting their journey in a single year, that 323,676. I mean, that is just a staggering number.
It's a big number. It's become norm. Record-breaking years have become norm. I don't reflect on it particularly, but when you ask the question, you think, how many charities, how many companies get 323,000 new customers every single year? Where does that happen? We don't generally have technology problems. We deliver the award using technology. We're in a large number of schools. It's a good question to ask, but it's one that I don't particularly get hung up on. It's what we do. It's what my team does. It's a great place to be where our technology is reliable and it's scalable. It's not a problem, so I don't think about it. I think about the next 100,000. I'd like to see that as 1/3 I'd like to see it as 500,000. So yeah, I don't reflect well. So, but it is good just to think that every single number in this is a young person that we've engaged with through our platforms and our schools and our licensed operators. I've used the term licensed operators. We'll just use the term schools. We'll chat about this later in the slides, but the whole partnership with FormusPro is about building software to allow us to manage the relationships with schools and licensed operators. We'll pick up on that later.
So over the time that we've been working with Duke of Edinburgh, it's became apparent that when we first started work, the DofE had multiple data systems. They weren't integrated with each other, and they were leading to a lot of difficulties in generating business-wide reports. Having to pull data from several locations was taking a lot longer than it should really to pull those reports together. What we started on doing is we started leveraging some of Microsoft's out-of-the-box Power Platform tools, along with the use of Microsoft's not-for-profit accelerator tool, which is a tool specially for the not-for-profit sector, to deliver some low-code solutions for them to serve their 4,500 organizations that we were just talking about on the previous slide. So we call them organizations, but it is majority is schools. We set about replacing some old systems, old databases, spreadsheets, that type of thing, and replacing them with connected apps that talk to each other. Along the way, we help them streamline processes, showing them things that Microsoft software could probably improve for them, and also remove some of the data discrepancies across multiple systems, because there were several things where it was duplicated in 2 different systems, and which one was the most up to date and etc. was a question along the way. Whereas we've kind of removed that. It's now all held in one central place within Azure, and yeah, there's no more double entry, having to put things into 2 systems. You put it in one system, and there is an integration we've written in the background that writes it between the 2. So that's a really great place to get to.
Nathan, why is FormusPro in the not-for-profit sector? What is it about not-for-profit?
I mean, at this stage, it's just kind of what we do. I mean, I guess where it came from, it's come from our roots. The company was started, I think, 13 years ago now, when our CEO got a contract from an NFP, and then it's just kind of grown from there. I guess it's kind of a passion from our CEO, who's kind of instilled that in the people he's hired along the way. And Obviously now we're quite a big company, kind of 70 plus. We've kind of always had a focus on NFPs. Like I say, it's just considered what we do, what we're known for. And the staff love it as well. You know, I personally like working for not-for-profits. It's good to come to work and know that you're working on things that are helping people, whether that be, you know, Duke of Edinburgh helping young people, or whether it be a cancer charity or whatever it is. It's nice to come to work knowing that you're working on solutions that are helping people. Company also takes part in plenty of charity events. We pick a charity each year to raise money for, and that's a bunch of people that are much braver than I am at FormusPro all jumped out of a plane for a charity last year. They couldn't quite convince me to do that, but there was a good dozen or so of them that did. So yeah, we've always done a lot for charities. So moving on to the actual technologies that we've used with the Duke of Edinburgh. On the right hand side of this slide, we've kind of got a diagram of the technologies we're using. Out of the box, it kind of looks like quite a few technologies being used there, but then when you consider that Business Central, Copilot, Power Platform, Dynamics, and Office 365 are all out of the box Microsoft products that all talk to each other and are linked anyway, it's all the kind of in the same platform. And then the other two on there, EDV, which is a custom piece of software that you guys have had written yourselves, and your website, both of those, even though they're not a Microsoft platform, they're built on Azure. So the architecture sat underneath them, where the data sits, is all in Azure. So that's kind of really helped us with the communication, the integration between the two systems. The fact that you can update a record in Dynamics and that update immediately appears in EDV, and vice versa. You update something in EDV and it pops straight into Dynamics immediately. It means that DofE staff can look at their data in either system and know that that's a reliable source of that information. That's taken a lot of work in the background to get that talking, but now it's there. It's a superb piece of kit that's able to be used on a daily basis by the team, which is really, really good.
Here are some of our challenges as a team. I don't think they're any different challenges to any other charity or any other commercial. Everybody says they want to do stuff with AI. I've seen some stats that said 28% of companies say they're looking at AI. I think it's less than 1% are actually doing anything with AI, but everybody's it's the latest thing. Everybody's talking about AI. Everybody's talking about automation. For us, security is a big thing. We're a royal charity. We're dealing with significant amount of child-related data, so reputational risk is high. We spend a lot of money on security. It's a big one for us. Anybody who's not interested in data isn't really interested in technology. Data is everything, and how you use data. So that's the challenges. I think they're pretty common challenges to everybody. Having a technology stack like the Microsoft stack really helps those challenges, and we'll chat about some of those in a little bit more detail over the next few slides. AI. We're looking at AI. We've got one member of my team qualified in AI, which is great. So we're not only just saying that we're looking at AI, we're upskilling ourselves in AI. I've done the AI Governance Practitioner course, so I'll be writing the governance. But because we're a charity, we like to do things the right way. So we upskill, we research, we create documents, we say how it might be used. We haven't actually got a problem to solve. Because we're technologists, we need to equip ourselves before the problems come. But already in the last few months, it will be human-centric, it will be accountable, and it will be transparent. Those are the attributes that we're looking for an AI system. Read automation between systems. Those become really significantly easier in the Microsoft stack because a lot of things are out of the box, but we're dealing with young people, legislation. So we're very cautious on our use of AI, hence the risk-based approach. You know, technologists like to do things in the right order. Stakeholders and trustees go, what are we doing about AI? Somewhere in the middle, we come together with what is the problem we're trying to solve. Doing things in the right order makes things easier. Talking the same language makes things easier. Throwing it with the right technology stack makes things easier. We hope to be one of the companies that do interesting things with AI and ML.
I mean, obviously, AI is the kind of new buzzword in the market that everyone's talking about at the moment. But from what we've seen, very few are actually doing anything with it currently. What plans do you have to use AI in the future? Have you got some things lined up?
So there's some interesting things. One of the things we need to do is to work with stakeholders and throw some scenarios. No one's going to come to us and say, here's the problem to solve with AI. No one wants to be told by IT what the problem is. So today we're trying to engage with people using the right language, throwing some scenarios. When you look at those stats on, I think, one of my first slides, relatively small number of adults managing the progression of young people. One of the barriers for us to get to 400,000 to 500,000 isn't a shortage of young people, it's a shortage of adults to manage the program. Most of what we do is adults managing the progression, verifying the award. If we can come up with some interesting scenarios to make that job easier, to allow adults to have a human-centric approach to work with the program and a technology in a more efficient way, then we can scale. People scale badly, right? Technology scales really well. So that's our thinking. So we're not going to say, here's the problem we're trying to do. We're trying to engage with people of how do we get another 100,000 young people? How do we use the volunteers and the schools and the DofE managers in a better way? Those are really interesting problems, and AI will be part of the solution. So anybody who's into AI knows about summers and springs and all of those things. So like every organization, we've gone through different bunches of technology. EDV was made mandatory in 2013. It was launched in 2009, made mandatory in 2013. It's the electronic system that manages the entire award process. We moved from paper to a system to making it mandatory. Just like every other organization, you bought systems and then came to IT and said, how do we make them work together? You know, after they've been bought, it's quite common. So we collected systems. We always had the vision that we would end up with a technology stack that made it easy to connect people and process together. That was always my ambition. Over the timeline, we've done RFPs, we've changed systems, we've moved out to get to the stage today where our technology stack and our suppliers are all aligned to delivering solutions. Our mission hasn't changed, the mix of suppliers and technology has.
Going from the summer section there, the bit that obviously FormusPro have been doing for you, it's quite obvious that your journey at DofE has been a long one, dating right back to 2013 of this kind of digital transformation journey. Since we started in January 2022, I think it was, so a little bit over 2 years, we have been deploying apps like licensings and grant management apps. But behind the scenes, what we've been doing is laying down those foundations, building a platform for Duke of Edinburgh to use going forwards into the future that makes it quick and easy to deploy new solutions. I think an example of this is, you know, it was, I think it was late last year, you wanted to send out a survey to a bunch of your licensed organisations, a subset of your licensed organisations, and you kind of came to us giving us kind of 2 to 3 weeks kind of notice that this needed to be done in a smarter way than you were currently doing it. And I think it was kind of, you came to us thinking, well, is this even possible in 2 to 3 weeks? I think you guys were quite shocked when we managed to spin up a first draft of the process with just a handful of hours worth of work. Now, the reason we were able to do that is because we'd already laid the groundwork to work on. There was already an app in the Microsoft suite. It's called Customer Voice, if anybody wants to look it up after the call, that can send out surveys to your organization records. So it only really needed a bit of tweaking to get it into a state that was usable for you to just run with. I suppose, although, you know, some of your staff may just see the front end of, oh, they've done a licensing app, and some of them will say, oh yeah, I use the grant management app they produced. What's lying underneath is that Power Platform Microsoft architecture that we've spent the time building up in the background, making sure all the data is right, making sure that integration with EDV is working correctly, so that now we can really roll out changes really quickly. That summer has started, if you like. We've got all the base work there. We're ready to push things quite quickly at this point.
Nathan, I think all the hard work in building the entities between systems, the communication between systems has paid off. From a user perspective, he would have gone, oh, it's easier to use a Microsoft form, an Excel, an email template, a campaign. That's the quick win. But the real cost of that is you have disconnected orphan data that isn't connected against the correct school, the correct approved activity provider. That whole spring rebuilding has made, so it's actually nearly as quick to do the quick win that's actually connected to the system. People don't really see that.
Yeah,
the fact
exactly.
that we have one version of a survey against multiple entities is really remarkable. I think we don't really talk about the benefits of that too often.
Yeah, the fact that we can just spin up apps now and it all be linked to your existing data is just a massive win.
Okay, so we chat a little bit about our strategy. It fits into the summer because we've done a lot of work behind the scenes with technologies and a lot of work with Microsoft and FormusPro. We have our strategy now, which actually explains in really nice terms how everything fits together. It provides a framework for people to think about things, to take advantage of everything that we've done. We're trying to change the narrative as a technology team from people asking us to solve problems rather than telling us what to do. And that's quite a big thing. So that's a big part of our strategy, is engaging with our stakeholders, not having conversations about systems and having conversations about solutions. You saw our technology canvas. That will cover most of our solutions moving forward. We don't want to have conversations with our staff about technology. We want to have conversations about, let's create a great grant management system. This is why our team has its own identity, it has its own strapline. We have our own strategy that we've recently launched that is really good and helps us make great decisions to use our technology. So this is our one-page takeaway. It's a little bit Trivial Pursuit. Our team wrote this, my team wrote this last year, towards the end of last year, and it's like super simple. When it's written, it just seems the most natural thing in the world. You probably never appreciate how much time and effort it takes to make something super simple. So my team did an amazing job on this. We sold it to our executive team and trustees, and it was the easiest pitch I've ever made. The easiest, super easiest pitch. Everybody can understand this. It comes now because we've done the digital transformation. Now we want the payback. Now we want good decisions and good frameworks to make things faster and simpler.
With all the work you've done so far, Andrew, do you think other third sector organisations would benefit from following your examples?
Yes, but you've got to have done the things that people don't see behind the scenes, picking your vendor, doing the behind the scenes wiring that no one sees. This looks super easy, but if you've got a connection of technology that isn't integrated and thought about, it's just words. You can't make it happen. So if you do things in the right order, this gives you a canvas to move forward for a modern, scalable charity. But without the technology first, this is just a report, it's an ambition. We're trying to turn this into reality. This is an interesting one. Aspire to be tech leaders. We do some really, really good work with our technology team. Most of it goes unseen. It's a really great place to work. My team are amazing. We've grown from, I think, 5 during COVID to 13, and shortly will be 17. That's an amazing stat. It's a great place to work. We've got amazing people working for an amazing charity. Doing all this great stuff, it's worth being recognised because we're doing it all anyway. A third of my team have been promoted to jobs in the last year. That's amazing, isn't it? Developing in-house talent for the next step up. Retaining and recruitment is massive. Part of being seen to be tech leaders is joining events like this, putting ourselves out, retaining and recruiting. So yeah, it's a big thing for us. It's a big part of our strategy. The strategy starts with a nice green. Obviously, the strategy has to support the DofE ambition and growth. Those figures are going to get bigger every year. That's what we do. That's why we exist. Our technology strategy is so integrated into our overarching Youth Without Limits strategy. It's why we exist. We don't exist to do technology for technology's sake. We exist to support the ambition and growth of the charity. And I know it might seem a bit of a given, but this is just why we're here. It's a really powerful strapline.
I mean, one of the things that stood out for me on this was that you used the word disruptive. Most people would see that word as a negative word to be used, but You kind of use it in a different way. Can you kind of explain that?
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because I mean, this is an internal strategy. This is our values and our way of working. We've got the nicest, politest bunch of 380 people, right? The word disruptive provokes a discussion, and we're chatting about the word disruptive, right? Actually, it's a really important word because it's the right to ask questions. It's the right to say, why are we doing this? It's the right to say, have you thought about this? It's the right to move from the team that takes the orders to the team that says, we could be part of that solution. So we're using it in a really positive way. And if you look at the other items on that slide, right, they participate in every single project meeting across every single part of the charity. That's a really big ask for an IT team, right? But if you're at the table, you've got to ask the question, right? Why are we doing this? Why is our approach to scaling employing more people? Why aren't we using technology? In the nicest way possible. We've got amazing business partners in our team. But if we actually want to do everything in our strategy and we want to support the ambition and growth, occasionally you've got to say, I think there's another way, right? The fact that we're actually using the word disruptive in a positive way where we're controlling the meaning, I think is really good. Yes, I think we've got a few people from different charities. Charities are really, really good at reacting to events. Something happens, everybody just does their job brilliantly. That's why we're in a charity. We're also really, really good at governance. When something isn't urgent and isn't important, it takes years, right? We spend a lot of money on technology. We've invested a lot, but we've had to go through a lot of governance, which has taken a lot of time. We have to remind people why we're on this journey. And I think there's probably a few people who will recognize the struggles that a tech team has to get things done that isn't urgent and isn't important, but you don't get the return on investment. You don't get the scaling unless you say, this is a multi-year project. What does it take? I'm pretty persistent. You know, I've had a vision of the end game for quite a while, but you just have to set the expectation that this is a multi-year big project, and that's what it takes. We're really fortunate to have the ear of the trustees, the investment of the trustees. I think they understand that you can't be 100% digital and not invest in technology.
Rolling back to the idea of seasons, and we talked about like the winter, the spring, the summer earlier, kind of we're in the summer stage at the moment. So just to kind of go over a little bit more of what Formus have kind of created with Duke of Edinburgh. And obviously we've created an operations app, which is the main app we were talking about earlier, which is to help you manage your relationships with over 4,500 licensed organizations, which are mainly schools, but also managing the relationships with many potential more organizations. So, you know, you've got 4,500 there now, but there may be more schools and groups joining you in the future. So it's managing those relationships. So we've obviously done that integration piece, which is the big underlying kind of groundworks that we've done to kind of link with your existing ED&E system to create that single point for reporting, so that you can have all your data in one place and know that it is up to date, and there isn't a separate subset of data in another system or on an Excel sheet or in a database somewhere or wherever it is, to have that kind of core information there. And obviously that's going to be an ongoing thing as we bring more and more processes into the system, getting that data all in that same place as well. We obviously also have various other integrations within the system, more out of the box ones that Microsoft offer. So you've got a DocuSign integration because there's various documents that need signing off during processes, etc. So we've got those in there. Customer voice, which we talked about earlier, which is used for sending surveys out. So we've got things like that. We've used the out of the box tools that don't require code to be able to kind of deliver the solutions that you've needed. And then obviously we also built you a grant management app. So yeah, you've got now, I think, hundreds of grants going through that grant management app. We've got a process in there for those, and we've relied heavily on trying to automate a lot of that process using Power Automate, another out of the box tool within the Power Platform. That's again a low code solution. Then the next couple on this list is more so much a build up of you and your team at the Duke of Edinburgh, that the safeguarding and event management app have almost been completely built by yourself. So again, Formus as your partner, we've not only built apps for you, but we've built a groundworks. We've built a base that you can now easily create your own apps. So the safeguarding and event management apps that have been built, they have been built by your team internally. They've come to us with an odd question where they've struggled with something. We've supported them along the way, but really the credit for those apps lie with them. So, you know, by us putting that base in place, you know, as your partner, putting that there is hopefully going to allow you to do more of this in the future, is to actually do things yourself and just come to us when you need support. And that is part of the whole idea of the Microsoft kind of ecosystem, is that because a lot of it is low code, no code, actually you can get stuck in there yourself. And then the very final thing on the bottom there, which is kind of where we're only just starting off working, is the Business Central. So you already have Business Central, you've had it for a long time. But we've started scoping out some changes that you might want to it and get that more integrated. And again, we want to make sure that all that data within your Business Central environment links with Dynamics 365, with your ED&E system, so that everything again is talking and you can have that single data point. So I think that's kind of the next stages that we're currently moving into. Just kind of gives people a summary of what we've done over the last 2 and a bit years. It's been a lot of work and we've come a very long way. Again, just to kind of highlight what we're working towards here, is we're trying to get to the point where more processes, you know, every process that we can possibly get at Duke of Edinburgh within these systems, so Power Platform, Business Central, Dynamics and ED&E, and have those 4 core systems be the ones that kind of talk to each other, integrate to each other, sync data between each other, etc. You know, we don't want it to be, I don't think the data's up to date on Dynamics or on ED&E or whatever. Did the data load not happen last night? We don't want that conversation at all. It's not a case of a data load didn't happen last night or this week. It's instant. It is what data goes into one system, within seconds, it appears in all systems, so that you can always rely on the data that you are looking at. So that's the whole idea. Bottom line on there is we want fewer systems, better connected.
A big part of our strategy is about being collaborative and transparent. We don't really hide anywhere. We publish our reports. We work really well with the rest of the charity. We do consider FormusPro to be an extension of our team, a really close extension. I think that's an important thing. Yeah, technically they're a supplier, but actually they're really close to what we do. They wouldn't have been able to deliver these systems without stepping into the world of DofE and the acronyms and the abbreviations and the complexities that we deal with and take for granted. I think if it had been purely a supplier project, the supplier would have been lost in the complexity, but Nathan and his team have stepped into the crazy world of licensing and 3-letter abbreviations and Duke of Edinburgh Award way of working. And we do honestly consider you an extension of our team. We want the same things. We want to be seen to be doing great work in not-for-profit, and we do want to be considered subject matter experts in our own areas. We've got our own internal business partnering, publishing, attending every meetings. We bring you in for informal chats to chat about what we're doing with technology to see if there's an overlap. It is a real partnership, but it is 100% collaborative and transparent, which I think is great. We don't have secret projects. We don't have places to hide. I don't think we can when we're involved in procurement. We're involved as subject matter experts. We're involved in every project board. Just stating that we're collaborative and transparent is really important, and it's a big chunk of our charity.
Yeah, and I think that the feeling from Formus side is the same. You know, I've been leading this project since we first started working back in Jan 2022. And obviously we've got lots of great members of the team, James, Simon, etc., working for me, and kind of they're the ones that get a lot of the work done in the background, especially the integration stuff. It has felt most of the time like we're just your colleagues rather than a supplier, and I think that's a fantastic relationship to have, rather than just being, you know, treating you as a customer. It's been like treating you as co-workers, which has been awesome.
We've done this remarkable thing and actually got to the hour mark, Nathan, precisely as scheduled. Excellent. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.